Okay, so equations are functions that can be written in function notation. Function notation is just a name. So y is the same thing as f of x. It's a function of x because I'm using the variable x. So right here, that's the variable that's in my equation. So this just says y equals 2x minus 1, and function notation means f of x. So f of x and y are the same thing. And basically, they're the same, and those are both names for the range. X is a name for the domain, okay? So, a couple things we want to focus on. First, we want to focus on which equation to use, and then we want to focus on what you plug in, all right? So, look at number 1. The very first thing, it says f of x, and this is my equation. So, when I see f of x, I'm going to use this equation right here, 5x minus 10. So, I'm going to write that down. Now, it says find f of 6. So that means wherever I see an x, okay, where I see x, I'm going to plug in 6. Because see, those are in the same place. So 5, and remember if it's next to it, you do parentheses, and there's my 6. And then I'm going to bring down the minus 10. And then I put it in the calculator just like that. You do just the exact same thing and hit enter. And you get 20. So my answer is 20. Okay, so f of 6 equals 20. What that means and what we talked about in relation notation, that in an ordered pair, you've got your x and your y. Well, the x is the 6. I'm going to do orange because I did orange one of those. So my x is 6, okay? And then I've got the y value, which is the 20, okay? So this is your 20. So my ordered pair would be 6, 20, all right, if I was graphing. Let's try number 2. Number 2, it doesn't say f of x, it says g. So g is, and that should be x squared. Sorry, that changed it when I went to little x squared plus 2x minus 5. So x to the second plus 2x minus 5. Now remember, I'm going to replace wherever I see x, which is both of those x's, I'm going to plug in a negative 3. So wherever you see it, I'm going to put parentheses, okay? So negative 3, I have to bring down the little 2 outside, plus 2, and if I see 2 next to x, I do parentheses, negative 3, and then I bring down that minus 5. And then you put it in the calculator just like that. So parentheses, negative 3, close parentheses, there you got your squared. And then you've got plus 2, parentheses, negative 3, close parentheses, and then it's minus 5. So make sure you hit the minus 5, and you get negative 2. So my answer is negative 2, right? So g of negative 3 equals a negative 2. So my ordered pair would be negative 3, negative 2. That's my ordered pair. Now look at number 3. On number 3, you've got f, okay? Here's my f, so 3x minus 5. Now I'm just going to look. Well, I have my highlighter. Here's an f, here's an f. So wherever I see f, I'm going to write 3x minus 5. I'm going to use that same equation on all 3 problems, okay? But wherever I see x, okay, so wherever I see the x, I have to plug in whatever it says. In this case, I'm going to plug in a 3. So that's going to be 3, parentheses, 3, minus 5. And then put that in your calculator. So 3, and then it's a minus, not a plus, or not a negative, so it's 4. Okay, so that equals 4. Over here, I'm going to plug in negative 2 wherever I see x. So 3, parentheses, negative 2, and then minus 5. Okay, so 3, parentheses, negative 2, and then minus 5. Okay, you get negative 11. So that equals negative 11. If you run out of space, you can go write the answer at the top. And then you've got the one on number 7. So my x is 0. So wherever I see x, I put parentheses 0 and then minus 5. Okay, and then you hit enter, and you get negative 5. So the answer is negative 5. Now, I have the other ones that are not F's. Those are G's. So wherever I see G, I use this equation. So since this is G, that says G, and this one says G, I have to write that equation on those. So x squared minus 5x, x squared minus 5x, and then x squared minus 5x. I write the same equation on all the ones that have a G. Then I go back and I look. On this one, wherever I see x, I'm going to plug in the 5. And when you plug it in, you have to use parentheses. So parentheses 5, close parentheses, and then put your squared, minus 5, and then parentheses 5. So wherever you see the x, you have to do parentheses, and that the exponent goes on the outside. Okay? So make sure, because especially if you have a negative, that's going to make a difference. Minus 5, parentheses 5. You'll type it in exactly like it looks and hit enter, you'll get your answer. So that is 0. Okay. On number 6, I have to plug in a negative. Now, when you have a negative value for x, that's when it gets really tricky. So you have to do parentheses negative 4, close parentheses, put your squared, minus 5, parentheses negative 4. Okay? 4 parentheses, put your square on the outside, and then you have minus 5, parentheses, negative 4. You have to type it in exactly like it looks. Enter, and you get 36. Okay, and then we've got one more. So wherever you see x, you're going to plug in negative 3. So parentheses, negative 3, parentheses squared, minus 5, parentheses, negative 3. Remember, wherever you see the x, you've got to put parentheses around it. Okay, so make sure you type it in exactly like it looks. Close the parentheses, put the squared. Minus 5, parentheses, negative 3, close parentheses. And you get 24. Okay, so that's 24. Now, on the back, it's the same type of thing, but it looks different. I have another equation. My equation is negative x minus 5. But this time, it says find the range given the domain. Well, remember, that domain means x. So all of these numbers, each one of them is going to go in for x. Now I'm going to highlight each one, and I'll do one at a time. But basically, you're going to say f of negative 2 equals. You're going to say f of 4 equals, and you're going to do f of 6 equals. Okay? So first of all, I'm going to write my equation down. And I have to do that negative x minus 5. Now you have to include that negative right there. So negative x minus 5, negative x minus 5. Okay? On the first one, the negative 2 goes in place of the x. Now I have to bring down that negative. So negative, and then you do the parentheses. Okay? Make sure that you're careful. That's going to be negative 2. And then you bring down the minus 5. You have to type it in exactly like that. And then minus 5. And you get negative 3. So the first one is negative 3. That's my answer. Okay? On the second one, wherever I see x, I'm going to plug in a 4. So again, I bring down the negative, and then I have to put parentheses, and in the parentheses is my 4. And then I bring down the minus 5. Okay? So you've got, make sure that you put it in exactly like it looks. And you get negative 9. So f of 4 equals negative 9. And on the last one, wherever you see x, don't mean to use that one. Whenever you see x, you're going to use a 6. So negative, parentheses, and then you put in your 6. And then you bring down the minus 5. Okay? It's very important that you make it look exactly like it. And if you do that, you're going to be fine. So what is the range? Now you've got your answers. So your answers are negative 3, negative 9, and negative 11. So negative 3, negative 9, negative 11. That is the range. So that would be my answer. Okay? Now on 10 through 15, these are the same type of thing. I just want to show you something that's different. Okay? So notice, and I'm going to use 11 and 12 because I want you to really see the difference. Notice both of them have g. So I'm going to look for g. G says 2x squared minus 6x. So I'm going to put 2x squared minus 6x, 2x squared minus 6x. But notice, okay, this one had a g of 4, this one has g of 4, so wherever I see x, I'm going to plug in a 4. So I have 2, and then parentheses, and put in your 4. And then you bring down the squared, minus 6, and then parentheses, and put your 4 in it. Okay, same thing on this one. 2, and you got your parentheses, and then this is also a 4. And so you're like, well, Miss Pearsall, what's the difference? I'm going to show you what the difference is, because this is very, very important. And I want you to take your highlighter, see it. What's different right here? Plus 5. So you have to draw that right here. So I have to put that plus 5 at the end. This does not have a plus 5. This one does. So everything's exactly the same, but I have to bring down that plus 5. Okay? So in your parentheses, and so we're going to set it up, 2 parentheses 4, close parentheses squared, and then you have minus 6 parentheses 4. Now, this one is an 8. And what's really nice about this, you can put 8 right here. Now we know that the other one is the exact same thing, so I can arrow up, hit enter, exact same thing, but then I do plus 5, enter, and you get 13. So this one is 13. That's the only difference. So we're going to do one more like that just so you can get a feel for that. Okay? So this time we're going to look at 10 and 13. Notice on 10 and 13, both of them use f. Well, f is 5x minus 15. So I'm going to write 5x minus 15 on both of them. And then what I'm going to plug in, I'm going to plug in a 2 wherever I see x. So I'm going to plug that in. So I've got 5, and then parentheses 2 minus 15. And down at the bottom, I've got 5 parentheses 2. And then minus 15. Now, look to see what the difference is, because there is a difference. Right here, this has minus 1. I've got to drop that down. So I'm going to put minus 1. So that's going to be the only difference. So I've got 5, parentheses 2, 5 times 2, and then minus 15. So I'm going to hit enter. My first one is negative 5. So the first answer is negative 5. But on this one, I have a minus 1. So you can up arrow to that problem, hit enter, and then put minus 1, and you get negative 6. So this answer is negative 6, and you're done.